Hi, welcome back to Stitch and Sprinkles. So today I'm going to show you how I needle felted this little disco ball. It's really simple to make and I hope you enjoy. So to make our needle felted disco ball, I've got my needle felting mat, a couple of needles, single one and my multi one. I've got some core wool and then I've got a dark grey felting wool, a light grey felting wool and some white. So to start felting, I'm going to use my core wool, try and wrap this into a tight ball and then use my single needle to try and secure this all together in this ball shape. Just in case you're wondering, I did pre-weigh the amount of core wool that I've got and it was 4 grams. Once that's sort of holding in the ball shape, I'm going to move on to my multi-needle tool. Again, just folding it in nice and tightly. This just does the job much quicker. Obviously, you can do it with a single needle. If that's all you've got, that's fine. It's just going to take you a little bit longer. Okay, so all in all, it's taken me about 8 to 10 minutes to felt this up into a nice firm ball. It's still got a bit of squish to it, but it is firm and a nice round, evenish ball shape. I'm just going to tweak slightly, just going a bit more gently as I'm felting to try and felt out any of the little bumps that are there. When you're happy with the ball shape, you can always give it a roll in your hands as well, just to finish it up a little bit or round it off a bit more. There we go. I'm happy with that. So to turn our plain felted ball into a disco ball, I'm just going to get some little bits. I've got my white, light grey and dark grey wool. I'm just going to pull off some little bits and just, it's really not much, roll it between my fingers. I'm starting with white, but obviously you can start with whatever colour you want. Pop that in the centre and just lightly felt that into place, just so it's not going to spring out. And then I'm going to grab a bit of my darker grey, do the same. But there might be a little bit much. Roll that up. Place that beside it. Then I'm going to go with the light grey. A little bit. And so I've got the white in the centre, and then I'm on the next row, I'm just going to alternate the dark grey and light grey. And then as you come down to your next row, I'm just going to grab some white and start alternating the 3 colours. couple of bits here that I've already got pre-rolled up into balls, so I'll use those. And you're just going to keep alternating and covering the whole thing until it's all covered in loads of these little dots. Okay, so I've finished covering my ball in the little dots of the dark and light grey and the white spots. I'm quite pleased how this has turned out. I do feel like it needs a little bit more sparkle. So I've just found this wall. I'm not sure if you can see in my cupboard, it has got a little bit of sparkle. So all I'm going to do is try and weave this through some of the dots. And I've just used my needle to just poke this in between the dots. I've just come back to my top point, so I'm just going to start going down another row. And as you can see, all this is doing is just adding a little bit of sparkle in, just to make it a little bit more of a disco ball. And once you're happy with the sparkle that you've added, I'm just going to trim this off and just push the end in with your needle. And if you feel like you need to go back over any of the ones that you've put in, you can. I'll try and add a little bit around here, going around the outside of it as well, and just see what that looks like. And then once you get round to the end, just trim that off and felt the ends of the wool in together to meet. And then I'm just going to start another one just a little bit further down. And then I've got back round to the end again, so I'm going to trim off. That's a bit much. And then just press that in. And it's up to you. You can just add as much of the sparkle to it as you want. I'm quite happy with that. So it doesn't show it too well, but this by adding this, it's just added a little bit of sparkle into the disco ball. Now, you can just go over it with your multi-needle if you want. Just give it a light poke all the way round to secure everything into place. A roll in your hand once you're happy that everything's secured. Okay, so to finish this off, all I'm going to do is I'm going to make a tassel. And I'm going to use 3 fingers. Pull it quite tightly. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Probably should have done it on this hand, since I'm right-handed. Move it over, right. And then I'm going to snip off the wool, poke that through the middle. Leave a bit of a loop. And then grab the end, pull it up to the top, and I'm going to do 2 of those. Pull your end through, push that. And there we go. And then to finish this off, I'm just going to get my wool. Excuse my tummy. Knot a piece of this near the top. Pull it. Wrap this piece around. Bring it back down. Cut it off. Tie it to another one that's loose. And just knot that. And then grab your scissors and just go through the loops, trim those. Make sure they are all, move that out of the way. Pull them all down. Make sure they're all about the same length. And then you've got a little tassel that we're going to just add to the bottom of our disco ball. So to attach these together, I'm just going to grab my needle and my wool, and I'm going to thread the wool through my needle. So I've threaded the wool through my needle. I want to sort of double it up. Don't need it quite that long, about that. And then I'm going to go through the middle of my tassel at the bottom. Push that through to the top. Make sure you can still see both hanging at the bottom. I've got my needle and I'm going to find my top point, which I think is going to be here. Push this through to make the top bit where the wool's joined. Pull it through, go back down, your bottom point. Make sure you're leaving a big enough loop on the top. So I hooked my finger through there to make sure that I don't pull it back through. Pull my wool right through, lengthen my loop. Push my needle back through my tassel. Flip through and then find I lost my end, so make sure that you don't do that. You've got your two ends, find your middle point, and then just knot these through to secure. Try not to catch any others in there. And then once they're knotted, pull your top, pull your tassels down the bottom. And again, just trim everything off. All about the same sort of length. And there you've made your little disco ball. So I hope you enjoyed this. If you did, I'd really appreciate a thumbs up and give this a like. And if you want to see more tutorials like this, please hit subscribe. Let me know in the comments below how you got on with this project, if you tried it, and I'll see you next week. Thank you.